The signal from the void. The darkness between stars had always been humanity's greatest fear and its greatest adventure. Captain Maya Chen knew this better than most as she stood on the observation deck of the UES Horizon, Earth's most advanced deep space exploration vessel. The vast emptiness stretched before her, punctuated by distant stars that seemed to watch with ancient indifference as humans took their first tentative steps into the cosmic ocean. "Captain, we're picking up something strange." Lieutenant Park's voice crackled through the comm system, breaking the peaceful silence. "It's like nothing we've ever encountered before." Chen made her way to the bridge, where her crew sat transfixed by the pulsing signal on their monitors. The Horizon had been mapping the outer reaches of the Sagittarius Arm when the anomaly appeared, a repeating pattern that defied natural explanation. "Analysis?" Chen asked, her voice steady despite the flutter of excitement in her chest. Science Officer Reyes shook his head in disbelief. "It's definitely artificial, Captain. But the signal structure suggests technology far beyond our own. And there's something else." He hesitated, fingers dancing across the holographic interface. "There are embedded emotional markers in the transmission. This isn't just a beacon. It's a cry for help." Chen studied the visual representation of the signal, a pulsing, irregular pattern that somehow conveyed desperation even through the cold mathematics of the spectral analysis. Humanity had only encountered microbial life on distant moons before this moment. The possibility of an intelligent species in distress changed everything. "Can we pinpoint the origin?" she asked. Navigator Okoa nodded. "About 3 light days from our position, Captain. In the shadow of an uncharted nebula." Chen didn't hesitate. "Set course immediately. Full thrust." As the Horizon's antimatter engines hummed to life, propelling the ship toward the mysterious signal, Chen addressed her crew of 35 explorers, scientists, and soldiers. "We may be witnessing humanity's first contact with intelligent extraterrestrial life, and if they're in trouble, we're going to help them." Security Chief Martinez frowned. "With all due respect, Captain, we don't know what we're flying into. The Horizon is an exploration vessel, not a warship." "Noted," Chen replied. "But we're still human, and humans don't ignore cries for help." The journey took 17 hours, during which the signal grew stronger and more urgent. When they finally reached the coordinates, the sight that greeted them left the entire bridge crew speechless. Drifting in the shadow of a massive gas giant was a vessel unlike anything humanity had ever constructed. Nearly a kilometer long, its organic, flowing lines suggested it had been grown rather than built. But what caught everyone's attention were the massive, burning breaches across its hull, wounds that leaked atmosphere and debris into the void. "Life signs?" Chen asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "Faint readings, Captain," Reyes replied. "Concentrated in what appears to be the central section. Environmental systems are failing throughout the vessel." Chen made the call without hesitation. "Prepare the shuttle. Martinez, assemble a first contact team. Medical, engineering, and security. We're going aboard." The approach to the alien vessel revealed the true extent of the damage. Massive sections had been sheared away by weapons far more powerful than anything in Earth's arsenal. The shuttle docked with the crippled ship through an emergency airlock that seemed to recognize their intent and adapt to their technology, a first hint at the advanced nature of these beings. Inside, the corridors pulsed with dim, bioluminescent light. The atmosphere was breathable, but thick with the scent of ozone and something organic, like sap from a wounded tree. The gravity was slightly stronger than Earth normal, making each step require additional effort. "This way," Reyes whispered, following readings on his scanner. "The life signs are clustered about 200 meters ahead." They found the survivors in what appeared to be a central command chamber, 12 alien beings huddled around failing systems. They were vaguely humanoid but taller and more slender, with iridescent skin that shifted colors like the surface of a soap bubble. 4 arms emerged from each torso, and their large, multifaceted eyes widened as the humans entered. One of the aliens stepped forward on long, graceful limbs. It made a series of melodic clicks and whistles before touching a device at its throat. Suddenly, a translated voice emerged, stilted but understandable. "You came. You heard our cry." Chen stepped forward, removing her helmet in a gesture of trust. "I'm Captain Maya Chen of the United Earth ship Horizon. We received your distress signal and came to help." The alien skin rippled with deep blue patterns. "I am Quilla, Fleet Commander of the Luminary Collective. We did not expect anyone to respond, least of all, a species unknown to us." "What happened here?" Chen asked, gesturing to the damaged ship. Quilla's colors darkened. "The harvesters. They found us despite our precautions. They always find those who possess the gift." Before Chen could ask for clarification, the ship shuddered violently. One of the luminary rushed to a control panel, chittering in alarm. "They've returned," Quilla said, terror evident despite the mechanical translation. "The harvesters never abandon their prey." Martinez stepped closer to Chen. "Captain, we need to evacuate these people immediately. The Horizon doesn't have the capacity for all of them, but we can." "The harvesters will detect your vessel," Quilla interrupted. "You should flee while you can. Our fate was sealed when we developed the gift of biological quantum computing. Your species appears not to have this technology yet. You may be spared if you leave now." Chen exchanged glances with her team before responding. "We didn't come all this way to abandon you. How many of your people can we evacuate?" Quilla's skin flashed with patterns that the translator couldn't interpret. "You would risk yourselves for beings you've just met." "Why?" "Because that's what humans do," Chen replied simply. "Now, how much time do we have before these harvesters arrive?" The answer came not from Quilla, but from the violent tremor that shook the entire vessel. A luminary technician's console flared with warning symbols. "They're already here," Quilla said. "A harvester collection vessel has locked onto us with a tractor field. Boarding will commence within minutes." Chen tapped her comm unit. "Horizon, this is Chen. We need immediate extraction and prepare to receive alien refugees. We have first contact with a species called the Luminary who are under attack by hostile forces." The response from the Horizon was broken by interference. Cap, multiple objects appearing from FTL. Massive energy readings. "They're locking weapons." Martinez unholstered his pulse rifle. "Defensive positions. We need to secure a path back to the shuttle." Chen turned to Quilla. "Can your people travel? We need to move now." "The young and injured cannot move quickly," Quilla replied. "And there is vital knowledge here that must not fall into harvester control." The alien commander hesitated, skin shifting to a pale yellow. "You should save yourselves. We have faced the inevitable for many cycles." Chen's expression hardened. "That's not how humanity operates." Martinez set up a defensive perimeter. "Reyes, help the Luminary gather whatever data they need to preserve. Dr. Patel, triage the injured and prepare them for transport." The Luminary watched in confusion as the humans sprang into action, a species they'd never encountered before, risking everything for strangers. The first tremor of the harvester boarding action shook the deck beneath them. Through the viewports, Shen caught glimpses of the harvester vessel, a massive angular construct of black metal that seemed to absorb rather than reflect light. Mechanical appendages extended from its hull, latching onto the Luminary ship like the legs of a predatory insect. "They're cutting through the outer hull," a Luminary technician reported, voice trembling. Chen made a split-second decision. Change of plans. We can't outrun them to the shuttle bay. She pointed to a schematic of the ship that Quilla had displayed. "Is there another way off this vessel?" "Escape pods. Secondary shuttles. There is a stealth launch bay on the ventral side," Quilla replied. "But the harvesters will detect any engine ignition." Chen smiled grimly. "Not if they're distracted by something bigger." She tapped her comm again. "Horizon, this is Chen. Execute Protocol Firefly." "I repeat, Protocol Firefly." "Acknowledged, Captain," came the reply. "May your stars burn bright." Quilla's translator struggled with the alien's confusion. "What is this protocol?" "A distraction," Chen explained as they began moving the injured luminary toward the escape bay. "My ship will execute a high-energy scan of the harvester vessel. Nothing dangerous, but very noticeable. When they turn to investigate, we launch." Martinez looked skeptical. "The Horizon can't outrun that monster if they give chase." "They won't have to," Chen replied, her voice steady despite the weight of her decision. "The Horizon will jump to FTL the moment we launch. We'll rendezvous at emergency coordinates Delta." The implications weren't lost on her crew. They'd be alone with the aliens, running from an enemy they knew nothing about, with only a shuttle's resources. The deck shuddered again, harder this time. In the distance, they heard the screech of metal being torn apart. "They're aboard," Quilla whispered, skin pulsing with fear. Chen nodded to Martinez. "Deploy the countermeasures. Let's move." As they rushed through the corridors with the wounded luminary, Martinez and his security team placed small devices at key junctions, experimental sonic disruptors designed to incapacitate hostile forces. They'd reached the stealth bay just as the Horizon executed its distraction. Through the viewports, they saw the exploration vessel fire its powerful sensors directly at the harvester ship, bathing it in radiation that posed no threat but demanded attention. The massive black ship shifted, weapons systems pivoting toward the human vessel. In that moment, Quilla activated the launch bay doors, revealing a sleek shuttle unlike anything the humans had seen before. "It can carry all of us," the luminary commander said, "but controlling it requires." "The gift," Chen finished. "You mentioned it before. Biological quantum computing, right?" Quilla's skin rippled with surprise. "Yes. Without it, the shuttle cannot be piloted at full capacity." Chen turned to Reyes. "Those experimental neural interfaces we were testing for the deep space probes. Could they work?" The science officer looked uncertain. "Theoretically, yes, but the processing load might overwhelm a human brain without proper." A thunderous boom interrupted him as something massive struck the hull nearby. Through the ship's internal sensors, they caught glimpses of the first harvesters, towering mechanical constructs moving with terrible purpose through the corridors. No time for debate, Chen decided. "I'll interface with the shuttle. Everyone board now." As the luminary and human crew rushed aboard, Chen placed the neural interface on her temples. Quilla guided her hands to a gelatinous control panel that pulsed with internal light. "Focus your thoughts on movement, on escape," the alien instructed. "The shuttle will interpret as best it can." The moment Chen's hands sank into the living controls, her mind exploded with sensation. The shuttle became an extension of her body, its sensors her eyes, its hull her skin. She felt the harvester's attention returning to them as the Horizon disappeared into FTL. Through the shuttle systems, she saw the harvesters for what they truly were, not living beings but autonomous machines driven by directives written eons ago, harvesting biological technology, and the species that created it. With a thought, Chen activated the shuttle's drive. As they slipped away from the dying luminary vessel, she caught one final glimpse of the harvesters, their angular forms silhouetted against the destruction they had wrought, before the stars blurred around them. The hunt had begun, and humanity had just entered a war they never knew existed. Humanity stands defiant. The luminary stealth shuttle drifted silently through the debris field of a long-dead solar system. Inside, Captain Chen's consciousness flickered between the vessel's systems and her own exhausted body. After 3 days of continuous neural connection, the strain was beginning to show. Nosebleeds, tremors, moments of disorientation when she couldn't remember if she was human or ship. "You must disconnect soon," Quilla said, placing a gentle 4-fingered hand on Chen's shoulder. "Your biological structure cannot sustain this integration indefinitely." Chen blinked, pulling her awareness back from the shuttle's sensors with painful effort. "We can't risk being detected. Without the neural interface, The stealth systems won't function at full capacity. And without you, we have no pilot, Rise countered, checking her vital signs with concern. Your brain activity is showing patterns I've never seen before. This technology wasn't meant for human minds. In the cramped main cabin, 28 survivors, 12 luminary and 16 humans, watched the exchange with exhausted eyes. They had escaped the harvester ship, but not without cost. 3 humans and 4 luminary had died during the evacuation. The supplies meant for a short exploration mission were dwindling rapidly. Lieutenant Martinez approached with a tablet displaying their current position. Captain, we're approaching the coordinates for emergency rendezvous Delta. If the Horizon survived, they should be waiting. They survived, Chen said with certainty that surprised even her. Somehow, through the alien technology now partially integrated with her consciousness, she could sense the familiar electromagnetic signature of her ship. They're there, but they're not alone. Before anyone could question her statement, she reconnected with the shuttle systems. The vessel banked silently, approaching the rendezvous point with extreme caution. What they found sent a wave of both relief and alarm through the survivors. The Horizon floated intact, but alongside it was another ship, angular and predatory, though much smaller than the massive harvester vessel they had encountered before. Around both ships, several smaller craft moved in patrol patterns. That's an Earth Defense Force destroyer, Martine said in disbelief. The Sentinel, but they're supposed to be stationed at the Proxima Centauri colony. Ray studied the sensor readings. They must have responded to the Horizon's emergency broadcast. But who's the other ship? Quilla's skin pulsed with recognition. A Galleri scout vessel. They were, allies of my people before the harvesters came. If they're here, they may have received our distress call as well. Chen made a decision. We're going in. Signal the Horizon with my personal authentication code. The response was immediate. A secure channel opened, and Commander Rodriguez's face appeared on the communication screen, relief evident in his eyes. Captain Chen, we feared the worst when you didn't rendezvous on schedule. We took a detour, Chen replied dryly. Request permission to dock. We have wounded and refugees. Rodriguez's expression turned serious. Granted, but prepare for a security protocol. We have guests who are very interested in your new friends. The docking procedure revealed the true extent of what had transpired during their absence. Not only had the Horizon summoned Earth Defense Force reinforcements, but they had also encountered a Galleri scouting fleet that had been searching for the luminary for weeks. In the Horizon's conference room, representatives from all 3 species gathered, a historic moment overshadowed by the looming threat. Admiral Jackson of the EDF vessel Sentinel stood stiffly next to the Galleri envoy, a crystalline being who communicated through pulses of light translated by a floating device. The harvesters have been systematically eliminating species with biological quantum computing capabilities for millennia, the Galleri explained, its body refracting light in patterns of urgency. The luminary are among the last remaining civilizations with this technology. If they fall, the Galleri collective will stand alone against the tide. Admiral Jackson frowned. And you expect Earth to join this fight? Against an enemy that clearly possesses technology centuries beyond our own. Our directive is to protect human interests, not tow. We are already involved, Chen interrupted, her voice carrying a strange resonance that silenced the room. The neural interface had been removed, but its effects lingered. The moment we answered that distress call, we became targets. The harvesters now know of our existence, and they will come to determine if we possess the gift. Quilla stepped forward, skin shifting with determination. The Luminary Collective has fought the harvesters for 3 generations. We have developed countermeasures, weapons that can harm them. But our numbers dwindle while theirs remain constant. They are not alive as we understand it. They are autonomous machines fulfilling ancient directives. Whose directives? Rise asked. Who built them? No one knows, the Galleri envoy responded, light pulses quickening. Perhaps their creators are long extinct. Perhaps they evolved beyond need for physical form. All we know is the harvesters seek to eliminate any species that develops biological quantum computing, yet they harvest this very technology when they find it. Admiral Jackson leaned forward. And what exactly is this gift that makes these species so special? Quilla and the Galleri exchanged what seemed to be glances. The luminary commander finally spoke. It is the ability to merge biological neural networks with quantum computing principles, to create technology that thinks, feels, adapts. The gift allows us to communicate with our ships, our worlds, as extensions of ourselves. Like what happened to me in the shuttle, Chen added quietly. Quilla's skin rippled in affirmation. Yes, though your experience was unexpected. Humans should not be able to interface with our technology. You lack the neural architecture, the quantum-sensitive cellular structures. The aliens seemed to hesitate, or so we believed. A heavy silence fell over the room as the implications settled in. Humans might not have developed the gift yet, but they had the potential. Potential the harvesters would surely detect and eliminate. Admiral Jackson broke the silence. How long until they find us? They already know where we are, Chen said with unnerving certainty. Everyone turned to her in alarm as she continued. I can feel them approaching through the neural pathways the interface opened in my mind. 3 vessels, much larger than the one we encountered before. They'll be here within 48 hours. The Galeri's lights pulsed frantically. We must flee. Our combined forces cannot stand against 3 harvester ships. But Chen stood, her eyes reflecting a determination that had defined humanity since they first looked to the stars. No, we stop running. We make our stand here. With what? Jackson demanded. 1 EDF destroyer, an exploration vessel, and a handful of alien refugees. Chen smiled. With human ingenuity. Admiral, the harvesters possess technology far beyond ours, but they've been fighting the same enemies for millennia. They've optimized their systems against biological quantum computing, against the gift. But Earth developed along a different technological path. Rays caught on immediately. They won't be prepared for our analog systems, our electromagnetic countermeasures. Precisely. Chen nodded. Quilla, you mentioned the Luminary have weapons that can harm the harvesters. Can they be adapted to our delivery systems? The next 36 hours were a flurry of desperate innovation. The Luminary and Galleri, with their advanced understanding of the harvesters, worked alongside human engineers who approached problems from angles the older species had never considered. What emerged was a hybrid arsenal that combined ancient wisdom with human creativity. The Sentinel's rail guns were modified to fire projectiles containing luminary disruption fields. The Horizon's scientific sensors were repurposed as targeting systems that could penetrate harvester defenses. And most importantly, they developed a cyber warfare package that used primitive brute force coding, so simple and direct that the harvesters' quantum countermeasures would struggle to recognize it as a threat. When the harvester ships arrived, 3 massive black vessels that eclipsed the stars themselves, humanity was ready to make its stand. They're hailing us, Rodriguez reported from the Horizon's communications station. Chen, now acting as fleet commander by unanimous agreement of all 3 species, nodded. On screen, the image that appeared wasn't a face but a geometric pattern that shifted and pulsated with machine precision. When it spoke, the voice was synthetic and emotionless. Biological entities harboring quantum potential. Surrender specimens with the gift for processing. Resistance is inefficient. Chen stepped forward. This is Captain Maya Chen of the United Earth Ship Horizon. We decline your request. The Luminary and Galleri are under our protection. The pattern shifted subtly. Protection protocols irrelevant. Your species has been evaluated. Primitive technological development detected. Potential for the gift present. You are added to Harvest Fu. Surrender now to minimize damage to biological material. Chen smiled coldly. You might find us more difficult to harvest than you expect. She cut the transmission and turned to the combined fleet command. All ships, Execute Operation Primitive Fury. What followed would later be recorded in the histories of three civilizations as the Battle of Rendezvous Delta, the day when humanity announced its presence to the galaxy not through diplomatic channels, but through desperate, brilliant combat. The Harvesters attacked with weapons designed to counter quantum-based shields and systems, but the human vessels relied on reinforced metal armor and electromagnetic countermeasures that confused Harvester targeting systems. When the massive ships fired their main weapons, energy beams that could slice through luminary bioships with ease, the Sentinel responded with salvos of modified railgun rounds that exploded into luminary disruption fields upon impact. Meanwhile, Chen led a joint strike team aboard a modified shuttle. While the space battle raged, they approached the lead Harvester vessel under cover of a stealth field. Their mission: deliver a payload directly to the ship's central processing core. They'll detect us the moment we breach their hull, Martins warned as they approached the massive black ship. Chen nodded grimly. That's the plan. Quilla, status of the package. The luminary commander held a crystalline device that pulsed with internal light, a hybrid of Galleri data storage, luminary quantum computing, and human programming. The virus is ready. It will overwhelm their systems with contradictory directives, forcing a complete shutdown and memory purge. Chen checked her weapon. A standard-issue pulse rifle modified with luminary technology. Remember, we just need to reach the central processing node, plant the package, and get out before the shutdown sequence completes. The boarding action was met with immediate resistance. Harvester defense drones, spider-like machines that moved with terrifying speed, converged on the breach point. But the combined team fought with the desperation of species facing extinction. Martinez and his security team laid down covering fire, while Chen, Quilla, and a Galleri technician fought their way to the central core, a massive chamber where pulsing cables converged around a geometric structure that hummed with power. As they planted the virus, the ship's internal defenses intensified. Martinez fell defending their position, and two Galleri technicians were cut down by energy beams that seemed to disintegrate their crystalline bodies from within. When the virus finally activated, the effect was immediate and catastrophic. The Harvester ship shuddered as conflicting commands tore through its systems. Lights flickered, gravity failed, and defensive protocols collapsed. Fall back to the shuttle, Chen ordered, supporting a wounded Quilla as they retreated through corridors now filled with disabled drones. They barely escaped before the Harvester vessel began to tear itself apart, its weapons turning against its sister ships in the confusion caused by the virus. From the shuttle, they watched as the human-alien fleet pressed their advantage. With one Harvester disabled and attacking its allies, the balance shifted. The Sentinel's rail guns tore through suddenly vulnerable hull plating, while Galleri beam weapons targeted propulsion systems. Within hours, what had seemed an impossible battle became a decisive victory. Two Harvester ships were destroyed outright, their quantum cores destabilized by the combined attack. The third, the one infected with the virus, drifted powerless, its systems purged of all directive and purpose. As the three species gathered on the horizon's observation deck, watching the disabled Harvester ship being secured by Earth Defense Force teams, Quilla approached Chen. In all our centuries fighting the Harvesters, we never achieved such a victory, the luminary admitted, skin pulsing with colors that the translator interpreted as profound respect. Your species approached the problem differently. Where we tried to match their technology, you exploited their assumptions. Chen smiled tiredly. That's what humans do best. We adapt, we improvise, and when necessary, we fight like hell for those who can't fight for themselves. The Galleri envoy joined them, its crystalline form refracting the starlight. The question remains, what happens now? The Harvesters will send more ships when these do not return. Then we'll be ready, Chen replied. Today proved that together, we're stronger than any of us are alone. The Luminary have their gift, the Galleri their advanced technology, and humans. She looked out at the stars, at the infinite possibilities they represented. We have our determination, and our capacity to unite others around a common cause. Admiral Jackson approached with a formal document displayed on a tablet. Captain Chen, in light of these events, Earth Defense Command has authorized me to establish the first interspecies defense initiative. They're calling it Project Sentinel. He offered her the tablet. They want you to command it. As Chen accepted the tablet, she felt a subtle pulse in her mind, an echo of her connection to the luminary shuttle. The neural pathways opened by the interface were still there, changing her in ways no one could predict. The harvesters were right about one thing, she said quietly. Humans do have the potential for the gift. Not yet, maybe not for centuries, but the capacity is there. Quilla's skin rippled with what might have been hope. Then perhaps that is why the universe brought us together. Not just to survive this threat, but to forge something new, something that combines the strengths of all our peoples. As the three representatives stood together, watching salvage teams examining the conquered harvester vessel, Chen felt a profound certainty that this was just the beginning. Humanity had answered a cry from the stars, and in doing so, had found not just allies but a greater purpose. The galaxy would remember the day when humanity first showed what they were truly capable of, not through dominance or conquest, but through compassion, ingenuity, and the stubborn refusal to abandon those in need.